Pleasant greetings, y'all. Proud Filipina charm Zespina here, who believes in shaping the world by changing the word. Then again, in this business of broadcast news, a montage of images would suffice to tell the entire story just by itself, reinforcing the truth of a picture worth 1,000 words. Thus, in our offering of VOA Connects, Impact of Art, we examine the lives and work of two artists who tell their stories by the images they create, using the lens of the camera for one and a brush and palette of colors for the other.
My work is a document. We document history, we document traditions, cultures, we preserve memories, and we expose issues.
My work focuses on celebrating the resilience, the dignity and the contributions of immigrants, and I have painted close to a dozen murals within the city of Atlanta that celebrate these stories.
Well, I went to journalism school. I always wanted to be a storyteller. I think in the end, I did not choose to be a photojournalist. I think I was photojournalism chose me. As a photojournalist, we cover many kinds of stories, but in the last 10 years, I've pretty much dedicated myself to covering underrepresented communities. I was based in Mexico City for 13 years, and there I got to cover a lot of migration and a lot of the violence that surrounded the drug wars. So I did a lot of work in Central America, Latin America, and now I'm based in Phoenix, so I'm following up with the migration, but on the other side of the wall. There are many challenges. First of all, your life is not under any kind of schedule. You cannot schedule life because, news just happen, and you have to be ready to jump out of bed and, fly to Haiti because there was an earthquake. And so it's a challenge for your relationships, for your social life, because you're always canceling things but people who know you and understand what you do will accept that. As a photojournalist, you cannot interfere with what's happening in front of you, and that means I'm not gonna stage anything. I'm not gonna ask people to do what they're doing, but I have to be there, and I have to be very close to them. And of course, sometimes you relate a lot with what people are going through, but I think that it's important to understand what's your role in there. So let's say I'm in Haiti and it's an earthquake and there's a lot of injured people. Although it's hard for me just to watch it, I feel like it's important for me to take a step back and understand what is my position. My position is my role in this situation is to document it the best way I can, to send the stories out, and eventually get more help, get more organizations working, and try to be as a truthful observer as I can possibly be. My work is a document. We document history, we document traditions, cultures, we preserve memories, and we expose issues. I teach at a variety of places. I teach at a workshop called the Founder Photojournalism Workshop, which is a pro bono work that photojournalists do. We go around the world, and the goal here is to empower people to tell their own stories. I also teach at ICP in New York, International Center of Photography. I teach a weekend workshop for the documentary at the documentary program. And this semester I taught visual journalism at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.
It'll be pretty high up.
We teach them ethics. We teach them, how to understand a story, how to translate this visually, and most of all, the ethics of photojournalism. So this is photographing people at their most vulnerable moments. Is unfortunately one of the most common things we do in photojournalism. 2 years ago, I did a story for the New York Times. We went to the border in Arizona, in Sasabe, and we photographed some migrants that were being deported. We photographed this man who was from Central America, and he had just been deported like 5 minutes before, and he was calling his mother. He was completely distressed, and this photo was on the cover of the New York Times. And after that, they stopped, these people were being deported into this area that's called Sasabe, and it's a very remote area, and it's a very dangerous place on the Mexican side that's dominated by the cartels. And it's a small town that has no resources. So that was one of the images that resulted in them stop being deported into that area. I believe that there are stories that have to be told even when the deadlines die down. There's so many things I love about what I do, but I think what I love the most is this possibility of being with so many different people and situations, just to get into people's homes and lives. And I think this, and to do this, people have to trust you, and this is something that I do not take lightly. I don't take it for granted. I think it's a huge privilege to be able to witness and share stories of other people.
Serranos. Allá enfrente hay una que tiene los jalapeños y los serranos. Estos son serranos que tenemos ahí en México. Bueno, que tenemos un pedazo de México.
You're supposed to be a pet chicken. If you don't let me pet you, we're gonna cook you. And then you'll be quesadillas. I think I'm more scared of the chicken than the chicken is of me. My name is Jamie Cambron, and I am an artist, an activist, and a public speaker in Atlanta, Georgia. My work focuses on celebrating the resilience, the dignity, and the contributions of immigrants. And I have painted close to a dozen murals within the city of Atlanta that celebrate these stories. So this is, I would say, my first major large-scale mural, and I painted it to celebrate Atlanta's legacy of civil rights and social justice.
It's pretty. It
Thank
is
you.
so nice. This is crazy.
Thank you.
Did they pay you anything to do
Yes.
it? I'm
So
gonna
this
say
was
they should.
this mural was actually a part of a bigger project called Off the Wall: Atlanta's Civil Rights and Social Justice Journey. But all the people in this mural are undocumented people that live here in Atlanta.
Okay.
And these are their words
Beautiful.
surrounding them. So I am a DACA recipient. I've been a DACA recipient since 2013. DACA stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, and this is a program that was announced by Obama's administration in 2012. So if you came to the United States before the age of 16 and you meet all these requirements to have been here for 5 consecutive years, you have a clean record, then you could apply to be a DACA recipient. If you qualify and you get DACA, for 2 years you get a work permit, and for those 2 years you are also protected from deportation. My first moment where I had this realization was when I won 3rd place for an art contest that was hosted by the Georgia Commission on the Holocaust. I got 3rd place. I was supposed to get a $50 prize, which at the time, to me, it was a lot of money. There was a ceremony at the Capitol, and I was there with my literature teacher who had encouraged me to be a part of this contest, and with my mom and my little sister. And I was recognized in front of everyone. I was given a certificate just like everyone. There was an exhibition at the end. We all enjoyed it. And then at the very end, before we went home and my teacher went to claim my prize, she came back to me and my mom and told us that they couldn't award me the prize because I didn't have a social security number. I knew I was undocumented. That wasn't something that was a secret to me growing up, but I didn't really understand what it meant until that moment where I realized that there were things I wouldn't be able to do. And even as a young artist or someone that just loved art as a teenager, having this experience where the message to me was, you don't deserve to be compensated for your work, even though you have the skills, the 3rd place worthy skills.
With DACA, I was finally somewhat normal and accepted. We are not a political pawn that politicians can exploit during elections and forget about for the rest of their terms.
¡Sí se puede! When our families are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back!
We stand on the shoulders of giants. It is about fighting for those that didn't qualify for DACA, and it is about fighting for the 11 million people in our community that are undocumented and still waiting.
After that moment, I was fired up, and I was angry, and I was determined to figure out how to change things.
Fighting for justice! And our liberation! And our liberation!
Oh, Checo. Mira qué bonito está. I was born in San Antonio, Villalongín, in the mountainous region of Michoacán, which is central Mexico. My dad was often here in the U.S. working, preparing food in the kitchens of Chinese restaurants. And so we experienced a lot of family separation in that time. A lot of my memories of my childhood in Mexico are of my dad leaving or not being there because he was here working. And so when I was almost 8 years old, my mom gave my father an ultimatum and said, either we stay here and we starve together, or we risk crossing the border, come to the U.S., but whatever it is we decide to do, we need to be together as a family.
Estela dijo que ya no estaba más sola, y yo también ya no quería venirme y dejarlos solos allá. Por eso fue que decidimos venirnos, pues, platicar y venir.
Porque se venía un año y duraba unos meses allá y nos acabábamos el dinero y no había trabajo, entonces por eso yo no me quise quedar de nuevo sola. Pero siempre estaba sola con ustedes, entonces por eso.
Sí, tenemos que estar juntos.
Entonces yo le dije que si él se venía, que nos veníamos todos, sino que no se venía. Entonces por eso nos vinimos.
Se tiene que tener mucha valentía para dejar todo.
Se siente difícil, pero es más difícil estar separados que Si piensan que yo me venía muy tranquilo, no. A veces hasta me enfermaba de la pena, yo creo. Calenturas que me pegaban por la preocupación. Era difícil.
Tú dijiste una vez que cuando estabas como preparándote para venirte que no me quería dormir porque pensaba...
Oh, sí, cuando... Era difícil para los dos, tanto cuando me venía como cuando estaba acá. Se estaba agarrando de mí del pantalón. Ella sentía, yo creo en su corazón, que algo iba a pasar, que me iba a venir. Y no me soltaba y ya le dijo a Abel, suéltalo, dice, a ver mañana que ya no esté, dice, a ver qué vas a hacer, a quién vas a agarrar.
¡Qué malo! ¡Qué cruel!
Era muy difícil, pero también era difícil ver la falta de trabajo allá y de dinero y no había que comer. Por eso arriesga uno todo.
I don't think it's an easy decision to uproot your entire lives and everything that you know to come to a new country. That takes courage. That takes a lot of courage. And so that's why when people call me a dreamer or refer to me as a dreamer, I think about my parents and how it's thanks to their courage that I am here doing the work that I'm doing, right? It's thanks to them that I was able to become who I am today. We know the fear is there. We know there's a possibility of deportation, but I've learned to be brave even when I'm scared because I still feel that fear. And it's just kind of a part of my life. But if I allow this fear to paralyze me, then I can't be an artist and I can't be an activist because we have to keep moving and we have to keep fighting.
It seems like this artist is trying to portray these immigrants as heroes, as icons. I don't know that moving for economic benefit, as a lot of these have done, I don't think that that's necessarily heroic. You know, typically we would paint murals of icons. We've been fighting a battle here in the U.S. over the last several years over Civil War monuments and things like that, and here we are putting up another monument to controversial people in America. America is a nation of immigrants, you know, but typically that's been done slowly and it's been done the right way through the legal immigration process. When it comes to the Dreamers, you know, I can see a pathway to legalization for them, but I wouldn't go so far as to give them citizenship. I think that that's probably a step too far. Making the Dreamers legal without border security could create an incentive whereby people from other countries see that and then want to bring their children here illegally as well.
I think this beautifies, and of course that's just my opinion. Some people this might not be to their taste, but I happen to be a fan, and I'm a rabble rouser too, so if the people, you know, if it gets their nose up, I think all the better. That's the power of the art, whether it makes you happy or it makes you pissed off. That shows that it's a powerful piece of art. I think that's good. It's starting a conversation. You know, I've been hearing a lot about the DACA. It's been a big story here in Atlanta, and my feelings are that if they want to stay here, if they've made a life here, this is the only home they know, then it's inhumane to want to kick them out. It's cruel. This country was started by immigrants. Everybody knows that. I mean, they make this a much more interesting place to live, in my opinion. That's been my experience, at least.
Especially here in Georgia and the South, you can feel the legacy of slavery and of racism and of the Confederacy. And so I think my job is to create art where people who are undocumented are affirming their presence and affirming their humanity. And I think that portraits are the way to do that.
Gracias a ti. Quesadillas de cebrada y una de flauta.
Oye, hago este y me muevo y te ayudo a voltearlas. ¿Para cuándo?
15 minutos.
Wow, okay. I'm gonna make another one. It's kind of messy. She makes them so beautiful.
Pinta mejor que cocina.
Tenemos mucha suerte de que nuestra familia nunca ha tenido que estar separada. Aquí en los Estados
Y
Unidos,
siempre-
en México sí.
Y
estuvimos
siempre hemos
separados.
tenido trabajo y hemos estado trabajando duro. Desde que llegué casi he limpiado casas. Como ahorita por lo de la pandemia se acabó el trabajo, entonces después de 2 meses empecé a cocinar. Que ella siempre habla del...
De todo.
Sí, que siempre está hablando y que es riesgoso para ella.
No puedo permitir que las historias que nos hacen ver como criminales ganen.
O sea, para mí eso es preocupante que esté tan expuesta al público. Más que nada por los temas de los que ella habla. Yo creo que y siendo indocumentada, pues sí me preocupa demasiado.
I have access to these key locations and I want to use the space that I have available to create monumental portraits of immigrants. So today we finally are starting on the second phase of the mural. We just finished the first one yesterday. I dragged my little sister along to help me paint. So this is Melissa. She came to help me yesterday and she killed it. She did such a good job. So I'm gonna have to pay her. Yep. I'm an artist because I don't really know how else to exist. I think being an artist is what I'm meant to be doing. I think it's the skill that I have to offer to the world.
Está quedando bonito, está hermoso. No es fácil pintar algo así de grande.
No. ¿Sabe qué?
Mucha concentración.
Sí, el otro retrato tiene como unos trabajadores de construcción también y puse también un paletero porque quiero que la gente vea que todos nosotros somos importantes y todo, o sea, cada quien aporta a su manera, ¿verdad?
Qué bueno, está quedando muy bien.
Gracias. I think it's gonna take generations to see the change that we're fighting for today. Honestly, sometimes I feel like I'm fighting for my very survival and my ability to stay and continue being a part of my community. Just because I'm a DACA recipient doesn't mean that I stop fighting for people who didn't get to apply for DACA but qualify. I think I have my work cut out for me, and I don't see myself not creating work like this. As long as there are inequities and injustice, I will have a role to play with my artwork, or that my artwork will have a role to play.
And that's a wrap for today. We hope you came out a tad more enlightened as much as we did. Looking forward to you joining us for tomorrow's Inside Story offering. And here's reminding you all to work hard and dream big. Count those blessings and be kind, and catch the news right here on PTV. This is Sharm Zespina for Stories from the Grid.